rise and remain standing for a short 1 minute silence afterward. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our first responders, fire, police, and EMS who have given their all in the line of duty, and for our deployed military. Thank you. Okay, just briefly, we had a short executive session at the end of last month's meeting, and that was to discuss a lawsuit with our council and public comment. Okay, seeing none. Rose Fire Company, Chris Boyer just called in literally seconds ago. He said he apologized, he's unable to attend, he's stuck at work, and he's sent the April numbers. There were 34 runs out of Rose, 29 fire dispatches, 5 EMS assist. Turnout time was 3 minutes and 40 seconds. First due on the scene time was 5 minutes. New Freedom Borough on the scene time was 3 minutes. And we'll have to ask him what the difference is next time we see him. They actually have several new applicants, 2 for fire and 2 for EMS, so that's really good. And he said, thank you for everything you do. Stay safe. Okay. Consent agenda, minutes from last month, and treasurer's report. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from council meeting of April 13th, 2026. Second.
And the treasurer's report. It's a consent for both. Modify.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Any discussion or comments?
I just have a question on page 6. RV Productions Annual Renew. What is that for?
Is that page 6?
Yeah. For recreation expenses? $34.45.
That is for the MyRec software. So that's basically, that should be a contracted services, not a recreation expense.
So rec doesn't pay for their software?
Yeah, that needs to get split proportionately, as it has in the past, between the rec commission and the borough, because we use it to rent the community center and the parks as well. So we need to modify that entry to reflect a proportionate split between.
Shouldn't part of it be paid by Shrewsbury Township?
Well, it is if it's it would be allocated to.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
To rec, I got you.
Yeah.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Unfinished business, Paul Smith Library. I meant to make a copy for everybody, but from Carl Knock, who's the chair of the Friends of Paul Smith Library. He sent a text to Susan Davidson at York County Library System. I'll read you portions of that in a minute, and I will also give you copies of this at the end of the meeting. He did say, on a positive note, the spring book sale at the library brought in $5,500, and it's a new record. And the Give Local York, the library set a funding goal of $3,000, and they received $3,900, so that was good. This is kind of an update on where they are with York County Library. Susan is part of the York County Library system. In part, he said, the board of the Paul Smith Library does not possess the financial resources nor the capacity to acquire the financial resources necessary to maintain insurance on the building and pay for all capital maintenance and capital needs. It was spelled out in the lease document that these would be the responsibility of the sublease, which is the York County Library System. York County Library needs to negotiate with Paul Smith Board to resolve this dilemma before a memo of understanding is signed. He also goes on to say in the branch support agreement, where financial figures were used to calculate the fundraising goal for the Friends of Paul Smith Library, they basically have an increase in projected labor costs for branch support agreement. However, the part-time staff did get an increase, but with the reduced hours, the increase seems excessive, and he asked for an explanation of that. He also went on to say that it's not his responsibility to present and explain this document to the Friends of Paul Smith Library. And he said that he sent a copy of the proposed memo of understanding and that they've had no input from the York County Library System. He does say our municipal supporters are highly skeptical of York County Library statements that their funding will be used exclusively for the support of the Paul Smith Library. Why? Lack of transparency from York County Library System. There's no access to meeting minutes, lack of response to questions they've raised, declining the request to meet with the York County Library Board twice. York County Library needs to take positive steps to establish their trust. Our municipal supporters are withholding funds until their concerns are adequately addressed. So that is the latest update, and that was end of April, and this is dated May 2nd for the thing that he just sent. And again, recommendation would be to hold until something, a memo of understanding or some agreement from the York County Library System. I will continue to keep you updated unless someone has any questions. I think he's pretty clear to them. He's not letting them. Okay. Next item is 1 East Franklin Street, further action. My recommendation would be we delete it from the agenda. I don't think there's going to be any action in the near future, and we could always add it back to the agenda if something happens where we can.
Even with them coming up with that purchase agreement in July? Supposed purchase agreement?
You mean Griffin coming up, the owner?
Well, whoever was allegedly going to buy this property.
That was supposed to happen, what was it, July?
July, yeah.
It's private sale, I don't think it's our business.
Well, I think when it comes to that particular property, it has to be our business because it's right now a condemned nuisance.
Well, I mean, whoever would agree to purchase the property, they would obviously in the disclosure have to know that it's condemned. So again, we're not in the real estate business, so
No, I'm not.
I would just.
We are.
No, I know. I'm just saying, there's not, I don't know what we would do as a council to, I mean, we could even be held liable if we impede the sale, if there is really truly a sale happening.
I understand what you were saying, Bill, and I think that the quandary in which the borough finds itself is that although it has condemned the building and the building is in violation of the borough's property maintenance code, the normal process is to bring the building into compliance, have our own contractor do it. But the trouble is that that's not economically feasible here. And so for that reason, although the mayor is correct that, I mean, it's a building that's in a very central location, application for the borough and certainly relevant to the welfare of the borough. The borough is not in a position, unless we would get some sort of amazing grant or something like that, that we could, redevelop it or something. The borough is really not in a position where it can do anything. It has, thanks to Kathy, we were able to get an administrative search warrant, and that satisfied us that there was no imminent danger to the public. And so that was, the health and safety and welfare is the borough's concern. That's the primary concern. And so we were able, thank heavens, to be able to establish that there's no immediate danger to the public. So I think, despite, I recognize what you're saying, Mayor, I recognize what you're saying, Brian, but I think that we all wind up where Erica and Andy have indicated, which is,
We've done our due diligence
Yeah.
on this, and it's time to, I think, table it. It's
remove it
basically,
from the agenda.
yeah, it's our Chernobyl area, it's a dead zone, and for 20,000 years it's done to us, right?
So you get a new owner that has a community, a sense of
Yeah.
the community and so forth, and wants to develop it, so because of
And then our zoning ordinance would come into play, if I'm correct, because they're gonna need a new use and occupancy permit, which I'm sure they wouldn't be able to get because that building is not up to zoning code.
But we addressed that when it happened.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I guess we have to wait until July, or if it does change hands. I just don't think we should. Well, how long can a building, and maybe there is no law, how long can a building stay as it is under the circumstances with it being condemned without the owner having to do something to it? Is there a deadline in the law?
No, I mean, well, yes and no. I mean, it's the deadline that the borough imposes. And so if the borough can enforce it, deadline by doing the work itself and leaving the property, that's how you do it. That's how you make that deadline enforceable. But unfortunately, in this case, we don't have that option available to us. So essentially, without the ability to enforce the property maintenance code, there is no deadline for compliance that would trigger something else.
It's unfortunate, but,
Yeah.
so
All right.
we'll strike that from the agenda. NIM certification, as of May 6th, FEMA is still lacking funding.
It was up and running yesterday.
Check May 6th.
I checked yesterday.
I didn't check yesterday. I'll look again. Consider approval of a resolution ratifying acceptance of the Southern Police Commission bylaws and code of conduct. Did we get signed copies? Then I guess we'll leave it on the agenda for next month.
Do we need to sign a copy? This copy didn't change from the one that we gave the last time. Does it need to be signed, or?
That's up to council.
Well, I mean, I think we'd all like to see what the bylaws are.
Well, it's the same.
It's the same,
It
they
hasn't
haven't
changed.
changed.
I think we can wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's up to council. I just,
Like, normally you would get a signed, executed copies, but, I mean, it's just a formality, really. I don't anticipate any problem with approving them next month. Complete streets policy. We have in here too the 5 things the council should know before reading the complete streets ordinance. And again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but again, the ordinance doesn't require construction or us to do anything. Council still retains full authority over spending. Routine street paving and maintenance are unaffected. PennDOT roads remain under PennDOT control. And the ordinance creates a review framework, not projects. That being said, need to consider approval of an ordinance adopting the complete streets policy.
Make a motion to consider approval of resolution ratifying the acceptance, no, hold on a second. Make a motion to accept the complete streets policy.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just made a statement last one, I'll just make one this time. I'm for drafting a local tailored policy instead of adopting the complete streets framework so that we can maintain both flexibility and cost control. Complete streets often comes with additional infrastructure requirements like wider sidewalks, eminent domain, public transportation, bike lanes, and enhanced pedestrian signals that can significantly increase upfront costs. While these features may offer long-term value, they can turn a modest $35,000 project into $175,000. So by creating our own roadmap, we can still uphold the principles of safety and accessibility to our citizens while ensuring that we remain financially responsible and adaptable to our community's unique needs.
My understanding is we're not bound to do any spending, right? We vote on it as we see fit, and we take what we want, and we don't do what we don't want.
Exactly true.
So
In
I
fact,
see it as a guidance of a group of people that know better than me personally, and then we take that into account, and we're not for it. I would be with you if we were forced to get on board and have to spend a certain amount to stay certified or something.
and in fact, what you said, we can implement. This just gives you a lens to look through, but we could look at an area that's being developed or whatever and say, well, we want the bike lane, but we don't want wider sidewalks, or we want wider sidewalks, but we don't need a bike lane.
It's like a buffet
That's
of
all
safety.
up to us what we do.
Yeah, it's a buffet of safety, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking here, I don't see it, but earlier I looked at, there's pictures of areas that they say is a good possibility of doing some upgrades, right? So,
Obviously, if you were starting a town over again
yeah.
and you weren't
Right.
built up yet, you would say, I want all my streets to be this wide, and I
Right.
want all
Yeah,
my
there's some that
sidewalks to be,
aren't feasible, but it's
Yeah.
a nice suggestion, it's good to look at it and be aware that that possible area has issues, that area has possible issues. But as long as we're not committed to spending, and we're not forced to buy into anything, or a contract, or any kind of a standard we have to meet that costs money, I'm for it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No?
My vote is aye.
I have a question.
Sure.
We're not voting on the police commission thing because it's not signed?
Yes. We haven't received the final copy yet. But we know from the police commission meeting that nothing has changed. So we could vote, just decided to wait until we got the signed copy. Okay, consider approval of a resolution to adopt the prioritized complete streets project list and establish implementation framework.
Make a motion to consider approval of the resolution to adopt the prioritized complete streets project list and established implementation framework.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No?
My vote is aye. Okay, community center flooring proposals. Sorry, did I miss this, Lee? Or is that just part of the,
It's regarding
all the fireworks?
No, the community center flooring proposals,
Gotcha.
the warranties were provided regarding the two different types of floor and what is covered. And then we're able to locate a memo from back in 2011 regarding the testing that was done on the floor and the moisture within the concrete floor. again, that 92 to 97% consistency. So that was just informative at this point of, at least we have those results that this is what it was at
Shouldn't
that
we
point.
like sink into the floor if it's not, I mean, I don't understand.
That was the
I mean, we haven't really had a problem up there because of it. If you hadn't done the study, I don't know that anybody would even know there's a situation.
The problem is, I think you probably would void the warranty on the softer. It's gonna delaminate. The hard plastic flooring, I think you could probably do that, because if it got wet from underneath, it really wouldn't, I don't think, degenerate at all.
It can't be waterproofed the way you would waterproof your basement wall.
I wondered if we couldn't put, you know how you put in for radon, if you have radon underneath the slab? We could put 2 stacks on the end and suck the moisture off the bottom and exhaust it.
Have these two companies been shown this letter about the floor and the testing that's been done on it?
When both companies visited the site, they were informed that there was a high moisture content in the floor. Again, they're salesmen, but both indicated that would not be a problem.
I think they should see the actual numbers and see that letter. And see if their warranty still stands.
Yeah, I think the follow-up from last meeting was regarding the warranty. That was council's request at the time to.
Did you review it?
I did.
You have comments?
I mean, the sport court warranty, I don't think is great. I mean, I have concerns because there's so many uses up there. And
They don't cover accidents.
correct. And the chairs are concerning to me in general. Tasteful occasions and their equipment is concerning to me as far as the warranty stuff.
Bandstand.
Yeah, the
Stage.
stage.
And we didn't even talk about like mold possibilities, right? Holy cow, that open a set the black
If you
mold.
covered it, yeah.
Yeah. And you don't see it.
And the one floor that needed an extensive amount of cure time, I don't know how that would work with our leaseholders and no access to their. I feel like we went in the other direction, like with the warranty paperwork. Obviously, the floor in itself is concerning. I spent a good amount of time with Jake and we discussed it at length. If you're asking for my opinion
Right.
is to not move forward, but I certainly sit with a bunch of people, so.
Jake?
Maintenance wise, when we have to go in there to change the light bulbs, I have to run a heavy piece of equipment. It's a mobile lift to go in there
That's
to do
right.
such. That's gonna crush those floors.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
There's so many variables that I just think you're going down the wrong path if you say yes to this. Again, we've asked you guys as a group to come take a look at that building, and not one of you has put in that building with me or Wade to take a look at the bones and the structure of the building.
I've been through it when it was being measuring all the rooms with weight.
You measured it with a tape measure. Did you pull this acoustical
No,
tiles
but
and
we talked
stuff?
about weight. I'm not saying the building
Okay,
isn't
but
in need of
a couple months
things,
ago,
but
you
I've
were
been through the
here
building.
And said, I'll take you through, I'll show you the bones. That is a waste of money, of taxpayers' money, to keep putting anything into that building.
I stood in a hole in the main room when they pulled all the boards out. And I've seen underneath the kitchen where the it's,
But just for the maintenance part, just in the gymnasium, we put a piece of equipment like that in there to do any maintenance work, painting, anything, because of the ceiling height, it'll crush your floors.
or even if we have to do some work on the ductwork or pull it down and repair something there, yeah, you want to table it and see if we can't find additional solutions?
There's not a whole lot of additional solutions out there.
Probably not.
Problem is putting such an expensive floor into such a depraved building that's on its way out.
That is not part of the original building. When was that added on? I mean, I've seen that building, there's not that much wrong with it, in my opinion.
Well, but I mean, there's no vapor barrier in the floor, so when they built it, they either built it wrong.
Well, nobody's had a problem. There's no mold growing up the walls, nobody's even, had this not been brought up, we wouldn't have even known it by, being there, going there. We don't get complaints from anybody that's using it. I mean, it serves a useful, fulfilling,
We're not.
purpose for
Right, I mean,
the
Not
borough.
suggesting we tear it down, we're
Yeah,
just
it's serving its
suggesting we leave it
purpose.
the
I
way
just
it
don't
is.
see it as an old building that everybody's kind of talking about. Now, if you're talking about the school part of it, that's got some problems. I can see where Jake would say that's definitely got some problems. But it's a 100-year-old building, more. I got a 100-year-old house, every now and then I have problems, horsehair and last plaster,
I don't think we should create potential problems, even if
I
it was
agree.
funded fully by
Yeah.
donations. The maintenance would be our responsibility, and
Yeah.
that's blind at this point. And I think,
if we know
based on the
that,
information we have, we would be setting ourselves up to fail, so.
do we know for sure that maintenance couldn't occur with the equipment we have? Has anybody asked the company?
I mean, as far as driving equipment on it,
Yeah.
take care of
Well,
it.
but they're salespeople, so, their warranty covered this, this, and this, and then we got the warranty, and that's not the case. So, I don't know that,
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking some
yeah,
questions.
no, that's fair, but did you read the warrant? Did you read the warrant?
No.
I did. I would make a motion that we remove this item from the agenda and leave the community center as it stands now until such time as we can, if somebody comes forward with a different proposal, but my motion is to remove it from the agenda and leave the community center as it stands.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Consider approval of a resolution setting fees relating to Chapter 112 fireworks. What do people pay now? Anything? Is there any application fee?
It was originally $500, correct?
There's nothing in the ordinance or any fee schedule that.
The old one. We redid the fireworks ordinance.
Correct, in
It had
2020,
been
but-
maybe it was a $500 fee for the fire company to attend, correct?
Yeah, that's what it is now.
Yeah. And there was a permit fee, which is still in place, correct?
No. That's why you're looking at this resolution
That's
tonight,
okay.
because in 2020, when that ordinance 2020-1 was adopted, there was not a corresponding resolution that really related to the display permit and then any kind of standby fee for the fire company. So, and it was missed annually in our miscellaneous fee schedule. So the purpose of this resolution is is to establish those fees, which are open to discussion, and then to roll that into the miscellaneous fee schedule that we do as part of the annual budget.
I apologize, I would entertain a motion to consider approval of resolution setting the fees.
I make a motion to consider approval of the resolution setting fees relating to chapter 112 fireworks.
Second.
Thank you.
I got a question. What's an agricultural fireworks permit?
It's to get rid of the groundhogs, I think. And that's what I pictured in my head.
Birds, I think they could use it for birds.
Oh,
Yeah.
birds, really?
Yeah.
Was the fire department comfortable with the $500?
It's what they charge now, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it's the
Yeah,
same.
they were fine with that.
Okay.
Our definition within the ordinance of a display fireworks, does that mean anyone who sets off display fireworks must have a permit?
Correct.
Okay. And who's gonna enforce that?
Well, it's not kids setting off 10 fireworks. I mean, that's not.
Correct.
This
No, we
is,
have a couple of places that regularly set off
But that's not,
display fireworks.
that's not the
Is that-
definition of
this would be like the Lions Club, or a
Consumer
fire company,
fireworks.
or Shrewsbury, or out at the York Revolutions game when they set off fireworks, that kind of stuff.
I thought when we did the original ordinance, we had a definition of what display fireworks are, agricultural fireworks, and what are the other ones called, the sparklers and little consumer. I mean, we've got some
Well,
places
This
that
is
are.
the ordinance that was approved, that was in the packet, which is chapter 112, which defines agriculture fireworks. It defines consumer fireworks and display fireworks. Article 2 is display, Article 3 is consumer, Article 4 is agricultural.
Did you keep flipping?
This isn't, just to be clear, this is not a regulatory resolution, this is a fee resolution. So that's why.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to figure out
Here.
who would be
Right here.
liable
It
to
tells
pay
you.
the fee.
If we keep going, the definitions are here. Consumer, display.
Display
Right, yeah. Yeah, it would be whoever, for instance, if they want to have fireworks at the Christmas parade, they would come in and they would apply, and they would put down a $250 application fee. If approved, they would pay the fire company $500, and then they could have their event.
Plus a certificate of insurance and bond.
Right, well, that's required with the application. right?
Correct.
I guess I'm just saying that we have other people in the area that are setting off display fireworks because they have more than the acreage that the ordinance requires. So they do not fall under the display fireworks permit need?
Not unless they're advertising it and having people come to a carnival or to a show or whatever.
Right, you
You know where I'm talking about. I mean,
But you can't supersede the state law,
okay,
right? We can require the display firework permit.
has the state has changed the fireworks law, am I correct?
They did that a couple, 3 years ago.
Well, I thought they did it again. I'll look. I thought they did it again. They updated it twice.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to have.
But it wasn't anything substantial that would cause,
That would
I mean,
interfere
you're
with
still
this.
allowed to have consumer fireworks
Yes.
and you're still allowed
They
to,
can't be close to a building, residential type building. There are restrictions on where they can occur.
and that becomes a police issue then.
Yes.
Can we get a copy of the new one, Andrew?
Should we have verbiage in here about Rose Fire Company as far as the fee that they would charge for the standby?
It is.
No, I'm saying like, should we? Shouldn't that just be an agreement between whoever's applying and Rose Fire Company?
Do you collect the fee?
The fee would be collected by the borough office and remitted to Borough Fire Company.
Should
That's the way we did it in the past.
Yeah, I'm not, I understand, but shouldn't they just deal with Rose Fire Company and not us? Why do we have to act as a pass-through?
I think because the permit is issued by the borough, not by Rose
Okay.
Fire. Yeah.
Alright. Why should we be saying what they?
I think that's kind of what
I know
happened.
that they would have input, but.
The one time that we had no knowledge of the fireworks, it happened because they went directly to Rose Fire Company and bypassed us. So this way, it all
Okay.
comes to the office and the ordinance can be enforced.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Consider approval of a contract change order increasing the contract amount by $92,137.26. This is for the decanters on the wastewater treatment plant. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the contract change order number 2, increasing the amount by $92,137.26.
Here.
I'll second.
First and second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Consider approval of a resolution supporting a Greenways Trail and Recreation Program grant.
Make a motion to consider approval of the resolution supporting the Greenways Trails and Recreation Program grant.
Second?
Motion and a second. Did you want to talk about this at all, or?
Yeah, Ken. So this is an opportunity that's initiated by DCD through the Commonwealth Financing Authority. They have a maximum request of $250,000, which, as you can tell from the resolution, is what we indicated as a request. Obviously, through their review process, if the borough were to be avoided, they could alter that number. And the goal here is basically to start the seeking of funds for phase 2 of improvements at March Goodfellow Park. And if you recall, those improvements relate to completing a open air pavilion building along with restroom facilities down near the playground, as well as providing shade structures over the existing playground equipment. And then a couple of site amenity improvements. Those items were the number 1 priority as listed through the feasibility study and resident survey results on what they would like to see developed at March Goodfellow Park. So that's why phase 1 is kind of initiated. The money obviously requested would be to help offset that cost. The goal here is to start obtaining funding and then aligning that with other opportunities. So DCNR has opportunities through a couple different programs. The opportunity that we used for the replacement generator at the community center was the local share account, category 4, which relates specifically to a couple counties, including York County. There's also a local share account that relates to all of Pennsylvania. We're able to apply for both of those opportunities as well. The nice thing with the category 4 is there's no match required, but if you have match secured, it bumps your grant application up in standing. So again, the goal here is to stack funding so that we're limiting the exposure, if any, to the borough's recreation fund, and that's funded by allocations for land development fees.
So effectively, what you're doing is you're meeting the match requirement through other grants.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing, that a lot of grants have opened up lately, that you're able to use one grant to offset the match from another grant, which really opens up the possibility there.
That's how I use my Visa to pay my MasterCard.
Yeah, when you get the 0% interest for a year, huh?
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions, or this is really just the first step?
Yeah, this is just to make the application. Commonwealth Financing Authority does have a $100 application fee, just so everyone's aware. Council would still have the ability to review the contract if the borough were to be awarded in this round. So this is just to make the application at this point.
Any discussion?
So I've put some thoughts on the paper that I'd like to read. Regarding the motion on the floor to approve the $250,000 Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program grant application, I cannot support this resolution and urge council to vote no. This entire project began with a simple request from me for a few $1,000s of crush and run so people with strollers, wheelchairs, and prosthetics could safely move around the concession area and bandstand. That small accessibility fix has now been turned into a brand new feasibility study, a brand new master site plan, and a nearly $1 million phase 1 project. Phase 1 alone is nearly $1 million. We are talking about more than $744,000 for a pavilion and a restroom building, $750,000 for a structure that most communities build for a fraction of that. And that number does not include $250,000 in engineering, the site work totaling $318,024, and any change orders that would come along with that, or the long-term maintenance of these structures. And here's what makes this even harder to justify. A local business had already committed approximately $35,000 to build a pavilion at this park. That pavilion could have been built years ago at no cost to taxpayers. Instead, the borough took that money and used it to help fund this new feasibility study and master plan at a cost of $63,847. Now, instead of a donated pavilion, we're being asked to pursue a pavilion and restroom costing 29 times more. When a pavilion and bathroom cost nearly $1 million, something is fundamentally out of scale with the needs of this community. Phase 2 adds another $1.27 million for new concessions that were ranked last on the citizens survey results. Together, this over $2.2 million, and that does not include the additional $347,557 for the site work in Phase 2, long-term maintenance, or future phases. We are talking about a multi-million-dollar commitment that grew out of a request that could have been solved for a few $1,000s. We have already paid for a 5-phase, 15-year master plan for this park in 2015. There's no justification for discarding the plan we already funded and replacing it with another expensive study and another expensive project. This grant does not reduce the burden on taxpayers. It requires a 15% match. It locks us into a full multi-million-dollar scope, and it leaves residents responsible for the majority of the cost at a time when families are struggling with rising prices, higher taxes, and higher utility bills. Fiscal responsibility means solving problems at the scale of the problem. This grant does the opposite. Spending like this throughout the year will likely lead to a requested millage tax increase with the pretext that the tax is needed due to rising emergency services or policing costs. For that reason, I cannot support this resolution, and I ask my colleagues to vote no. The proposal in here is from a year ago, over a year ago. One of them is February of '25, and the other one I think is March of '25. So the current market value isn't even close, and I'm sure you could probably raise this by another million. So you're looking at $3 million probably plus to do this at a scale of, and I believe it's been about 7 years, those triangle shade cloths that you put over structures, that's been being asked of the rec before this one was formed, even the last rec, to put that in the park for shade. I think something like that is reasonable. I think that this is very overinflated for the needs of our community. In here, this 120-something page study, diesel fuel was quoted at $3.96. It's now over $6 and rising. So the costs that you're approving for phase one are, I don't think it's anywhere close. And the list of exceptions that Kinsley put in here, it's 15 exceptions deep. That's more money on top of the 2.2 million. That's probably closer to over 3 million. And this type of spending is not a need. I have seen nothing in cuts to offset any spending like this. That's why I cannot support this.
Okay, thank you. The only comment I would have is that this does not lock us into anything. This is an exploratory grant to see where we can take things, I would say. You know, obviously is a lot of grant money available. I mean, if you want to ride over to Miller Park and see what Shrewsbury Township has been doing with their grant money, you will see a huge expansion in the park with bathrooms, areas for recreation. It's turning into a big, beautiful park. I did not mean to use a Trump thing, but it is. It's a big, beautiful park, and I think that's what we're looking for here. And it's not. It's not without reason to think that we could put in the shade, put in the pavilion, put in the bathrooms. I mean, we are in a constant need of restroom facilities. So, and they are putting in restrooms with grant money at Miller Park. So, a lot of what you said is well taken, especially the diesel fuel. That's you're right. Things are going up.
You're stepping off into something that you have no idea what the cost is. Is it 3 million? Is it 5 million? Is it 8 million? You don't even know. And taking that grant locks you into the requirements of that grant.
We haven't taken a grant yet. We don't even know if we're going to get it. This is
You're
just
going to pay money to
$100.
apply for it, and if you get it, you're locked into that grant.
No,
And
we're not.
absolutely, the grant has requirements that you must
You
follow.
are not required to take the grant, even if you get it.
So
If
you
we
want to
can't
throw away
get-
$100 and not take the grant if you get the grant?
I'll pay the $100.
And then you and Andrew, when this was talked about, when this first came out, both of you said, when I had the question of, well, it's gonna be a lot of money, how many grants do you think you're getting? How much of a grant will cover the cost of this? And the both of you agreed that you might be able to get grants to cover 50%. So if we're covering 50% of 3 million, 5 million, 8 million, who knows how much, where's the rest coming from? It's coming from the people, and you're gonna ask them to open their wallet again to shell out more money for the park, which, again, this all started with, I just asked for some crush and run to make it safer for strollers, wheelchairs,
You
and
asked for crush and
prosthetics.
run, and other people asked for bathrooms, and other people asked for shade over top of the areas so they could take their children and have a way to get out from under the sun. And, you know, people, there's a list, as you know, of what people requested.
Shade, we could take care of the crush and run and the shade probably with a few $1,000s, you know, but we're looking at millions of dollars to do this Taj Mahal of a phase one and phase two. And the phase two, that cost 1.2 million, I believe it is, that is ranked number 10 on your survey of what people wanted, so I don't even understand that. They said concessions were unimportant, and I think people would be hot knowing you're gonna tear down the buildings to build another one, when I don't remember how much money was spent just putting roofs on them recently. It just doesn't make sense. It's not good use of the people's money. It's not our money sitting up here. It's everybody's money. It's the people's money.
Did the
Spending it
feasibility
this
study
way.
say we were going to tear down the other buildings that are already there?
I don't recall.
Did anybody say we're gonna tear those down?
It was talked about, absolutely.
I know it was discussed, it had been brought up, they gonna, tear them down? We've got 3 perfectly good buildings down there.
Well,
You don't think
I
they're
bet-
perfectly good?
No, from a agriculture point of view, they're almost impossible to keep clean because it's all bare exposed wood. If I were doing it, I would at least put,
Well, it's cinder block. They're cinder block
The
walls.
rafters,
go down and look and see
Yeah, the
what's
rafters
hanging
are
down.
wood,
you
open,
know.
exposed. Those were,
You definitely need to,
that was an Eagle project, wasn't it, the buildings created? They were built by Boy Scouts, I think, or something.
No, I don't.
no, I don't think
That
so.
was- I think the
But anyway,
Lions had a lot to do
And
with.
the other, and the other thing that you need, they're definitely not ADA compliant. But
What makes them not ADA compliant? You can
Size-
get a wheelchair
size.
through that
You
doorway.
have to
We
step up to
measure.
get into it.
How are you getting into it?
You have to step up to get into it.
All right, we're way off, way off
Right.
track.
Well, I'm gonna come,
The purpose of this resolution is to apply for a grant, to see how much money is out there, and if we can, as Andrew said, if we could stack the money and build up a funding scheme to put this together, then we can move forward. If we cannot do that, we haven't voted yet to do any of this. I mean, that was a nice speech, but there's nothing.
you are. You're voting to do this grant to move forward with this. That's
Phase
exactly.
one.
Only if we get enough money to move forward with that. If we get this grant and nothing else, we won't move forward with that.
For six events a year, you wanna spend millions for 6 events at that park a year.
no.
Is that,
The-
right
the
right here in
shade-
your study?
I understand the dates, but the shade, part of phase 1, correct?
We
Correct?
can do shade on our own.
I'm not saying we can't, but don't.
Yeah, shade,
No,
restrooms, and
no,
a
no,
pavilion.
don't. Keep moving on.
$1 million, you wanna do a shade, restrooms, and a pavilion for $1 million
for grant
instead
money,
of
sure.
seeking 3,000, for
For
grant.
grant money, sure.
You're not going to get $1 million in grant
All right,
money,
then we
and this
don't
is
have to
gonna
do
come
this.
from the people.
So the grant money, the 15% you're talking about that we have to put in, they're talking about using grant money for that 15%?
Correct.
And then what do we owe if this goes through? Who pays all the rest?
Respectfully, we're
Well-
talking about spending $100 to apply for a grant.
Yes.
I'm not saying your arguments are not valid, but I think they need to be had at the appropriate
At that
time.
But to move forward to do this, so are you,
Well,
are
but we
so,
haven't been awarded that yet.
but if you get it, you're going to move forward with this. It's
We-
going
We
to
have to
happen.
decide that on our own again.
But to
That's
get
what
that
we're not-
and
We're
the
not
next
necessarily
money
going to
and the
move
next
forward
money.
with it until we have the bulk of the money, like 90% of the money. If we only get 125,000, we are not going to move forward.
Grants
with a
have
2 million.
timelines.
They do, and we may miss it, and we may have to not take it.
Once you get them, they have timelines.
That's true, and we may not be able to utilize the grant, but that doesn't mean that we can't turn it back. At least we tried to do something.
We're not a community with 250,000 people, we're not a large city, we don't have a large tax base, and planning something like this and giving this to the engineer and just not having parameters of what you want and keeping it simple and basic.
Do you recall how much money Shrewsbury Township has gotten in grants for their park? It's somewhere in excess of $3 million.
I would have to
Yeah.
go to the different sites and pull that information. I don't have that.
Is there a deadline on this? you pull that information, or do you need to have this tonight?
It's irrelevant what Shrewsbury has got, whatever they've got. This is our own community, our own set of meeting the grant parameters. That is irrelevant.
All due respect, I've spent the last 4 years hearing what Shrewsbury Borough has and everything that Shrewsbury
But-
Borough does, but now
For a
Shrewsbury
grant,
Township
because-
is irrelevant.
No, but you're going to measure yourself up if you're gonna get a grant because Shrewsbury got a grant. You're not playing with the same deck here. We're different. We're different in parameters that you have to fill out with the grant. But I've made myself clear, and it's up to this council whether they wanna spend that or not.
I know, I've heard some speak, for instance, the carnival. It'd be easier to staff carnival, the food and so forth, having the ability to walk between different areas, and not have different buildings and whatnot. It would make it easier for the Lions to staff the carnival.
More centralized, yeah.
But Erica mentions a very poignant detail, I think, and that was how many times do we use this facility? And when have you ever had building anything, the price that is estimated at or below? It's never gonna be. It's gonna be a lot more money because we have things coming up in the future that we just can't even predict right now. But she mentioned, how many times do we use this? 6 times a year. Now, I am 100%, believe me, for a bathroom. I like to have a bathroom right here. But she has some really valid points. We use this 6 times a year. We are not Shrewsbury. We're a bedroom community that everybody works in Maryland for, basically. And I think it'll be a lot more than the millions speculators.
This is a year old. These prices are a year old.
I'll point out one quick thing. What Jenny said, what we're voting on right now is to approve $100 so that you could submit for a grant, so we could get a feel for where we're going to be.
And we're not committed.
And we're not committed, no.
$100.
And if they give us the grant, we can turn it
Because I'm
down.
willing to listen if we're not committed to anything.
Well, if we get the grant, then we have to have another meeting, and we have to talk about it and vote, do something with the grant.
Right,
Right, that doesn't
It's-
automatically happen.
It's
that is
this.
correct.
No, it's not.
It's this.
We have to approve that we're gonna spend that money.
Yes.
The grant
And
doesn't,
this is what you're gonna spend it on. This.
we have to tie those two things together. Right now, we're asking for a grant. We're not asking to do that.
That grant is going for this. That is why you're
It
doing
may
it.
go for that, but it doesn't have to when we're talking about this.
It doesn't have to be
There
all,
are
it doesn't have to
parameters
be
of
all
the
of
grant.
phase 1. It could be the
Correct.
shade, it could be pieces of it, it could be what we feel is the most important.
Is that phase 1 or is that the whole plan?
1 and 2 are in there, 120 something.
When you apply for the grant, don't you have to say what it's for? What its intended purpose is?
Yeah, but it's not committing anything. That's the intention, but that,
No, when we apply for the grant, and they say, okay, you got $250,000 for, what's the for?
Well, the 4 would be for phase 1. Whether
There
or
you
not we-
go, that's what
whether or
she's
not we-
saying. It's for
whether or
phase
not we-
1,
whether
so
or not
we've
we have-
already committed to that.
No.
Whether-
we have to vote on that
you don't have to-
again.
You don't have to complete phase 1. You don't have to take all of phase 1.
Yes,
Break it up
it
into
locks
pieces.
us into the full multi-million-dollar scope. Whatever your scope is here for phase 1, it locks you into it. Yes.
We got locked into the last one, and it cost this borough $500,000 to redo the playground, to put in new tennis courts, to move them, to put in, we were restricted, we had to put in new drainage. Then the drainage, they said wasn't right, and it was to their specs, and we had to dig it up and start all over again.
Stuff like
We
that.
could have done what we did to the park on our own for less than what we ended up matching funds for $1 million to change the park.
Not to correct you in the wrong direction, but it's actually $750,000.
So if we,
What, did the borough pay? Well, I was told that $500,000. It was 500 and 500, correct?
so under fees here, I see the Commonwealth Financing Authority charges $100 non-refundable application fee for greenways. So we pay the $100. Is that the only thing we have to vote on, yea or nay, or can it be discussed further, broken down, taken apart, some yes, some no?
Are you submitting the phase 1 study? So probably not. Probably it would have to
So
be.
she's correct in saying if we do the $100, what we're really paying $100 for is to say yes or no on that.
But there's additional grant opportunities.
But we
before
aren't
start
guaranteed
spending
that
the
we'll
money.
get those.
Then we can turn
Correct,
around
but we're
and
not
say
guaranteed
no.
that we're not.
Once
But
we
if
vote.
you don't take the first step, you're not going to get any. But it's, you
The
know,
worst
again,
we have
it's,
to lose at that point is $100.
exactly.
And we paid a significant amount for the feasibility study, so at this point, $100.
Yeah.
I'll pay $100 because we spent more time talking about it than it's worth.
Exactly. I'll split it.
I said I'd pay it, so it's 3 ways.
All right.
All right.
So the next two can be covered too.
One more, we're down to 25.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other different discussion or any other? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
My vote is aye. Okay, solicitors report.
All right. Just a couple of things for you tonight. As you know, we are continuing with Mark Comey's appeal from his conviction for violation of the property maintenance code. Trial has been scheduled for June 25, but when I spoke with the witnesses, some of them are not available that day, so I've gotten the dates when they're not available, and we will have a new trial date set. So that will be the next activity there. You may have received an email forwarded from me that I forwarded from the attorney for the borough regarding the Devin Taylor federal lawsuit. So I won't comment further on that. If there's any discussion or if you have any questions, we can either meet in executive session or you can ask me directly and I will try to answer the question for you. As we expected in the ulterior matter, there was no opposition filed to our motion to waive the deposit of estimated just compensation, so that matter will be finalized in the next week or so. The criminal charges against Devin Taylor were refiled. A preliminary hearing was held on April 30, and he was bound over to court. So the prosecution of Mr. Taylor is continuing. And we have already discussed the Riffin matter, the Franklin court case, so that matter is concluded. And that's really all I had. Kathy, did you have anything else that I missed?
No.
Okay, thank you. So that's what we have for the solicitor report tonight.
Anything you wanted to highlight? Any questions for the manager? I have some comments to make, but they're SRPD related, so I'll wait till we get SRPD. Mr. Mayor?
No, I'll wait, I guess, until we get to committees for EMS report. I really don't have anything. I have gotten no more noise complaints, so I'm assuming that's been taken care of. I'm getting some, I think we're starting to have a problem with some of these e-bikes and motorized bikes in town. I've seen some real close calls on Main Street with some of these little motorized bikes, and I know the state police the state has changed some laws, and I think we need to have the police commission maybe take the forefront and take a look at that before somebody gets hurt. I think, where was it, over in Lancaster? A kid was killed on a scooter, one of the electric scooters. And I know there are some that aren't legal. I think we need to look at maybe adopting some new parameters for the use of these e-bikes.
There's already state laws.
The department
Please.
has a list over there of the different bikes on the wall and what the laws are.
Well, I think they need to.
Danny, was that an e-bike that was in front of your house, or was just a regular bike? Just a regular bike.
Yeah, but there's a lot of the e-bikes. I see them down at the park with them, you know. I just want to remind people to really be careful, on the lookout for the kids. They're coming down the alleys and right out onto the street. That's all I have to say about that. I think this is EMS week. I would like to thank all of our EMS providers in our area, Glen Rock, New Freedom. They do one heck of a job. And if you get a chance to see any of them or stop up to say thank you and show your appreciation for everything that they do. They work very hard, and it's not like years ago when you just went and got some minimal training for 4 hours and you ran on an ambulance. These people are going for years of training so that they can protect our citizens, and I think they deserve a thank you and a round of applause. So anybody out there, you see our EMS providers, give them a thank you.
Can you ask what the impact is financially for them?
Yes,
To go to this hospital instead of going to
I'm
the
planning
hospital?
on doing that. We have the new hospital over in Shrewsbury. People, I think, are going over there on their own and then being I mean, the place has been ridiculously full. The one weekend, they didn't even have a bed open over there. They were moving people to York. But I want to find out who is the one that's moving them to York. Is it Wellspan? I don't think they're calling our ambulance. I haven't seen one call to go over there and transport from there to York Hospital, which basically means our EMS and ambulance is losing money every time somebody takes somebody over to the new hospital. Now, when you go to the emergency urgent care, yeah, they call us all the time. They call us. We go over, we have to do an assessment. If we do an assessment, it gives us the ability to charge the insurance company or Medicare, Medicaid. I don't know, when we go over and pick somebody up at the hospital, we're losing out on that assessment. We're just doing a transfer, and I don't think we're doing the transfers. I think they have a contract with somebody else, and I'd like to find out what that is.
Wellspan has their own ambulance company.
Well,
Yes.
so
They do their own transfer.
I want to see how that affects our bottom line with the ambulance. And I'll do that and report back.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna find out if that's true.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be anything you could do about it anyway.
You can compare year to year. I have a 3-year study for calls, and they're pretty much the same every year, believe it or not, the number. So if we see numbers starting to go down,
There's still nothing you can do.
well, no, but it's nice to know, because we may have to do something to continue to assist them, because they're paid whether they're running or not.
So you're talking about supplementing what?
We may end up supplementing again. We are getting money from the other municipalities now based on the call volume, and I keep track of that. But that's not just Shrewsbury Township, but that's everybody that's involved in the municipalities.
But shouldn't you also be saving money because they're only going to Shrewsbury and not to York?
No, because you're not charging for a transfer. You're not getting anything basically, because people, it's that close that they'll take them, put them in the car and go over to the emergency hospital. That's what's been happening. So
Right.
we're missing out on that transfer call where you're looking at probably a $500 to $700 insurance bill that we're not getting reimbursed
Right,
for.
but then it's leaving our ambulance in the bay, so then when something serious happens, they're available, because the family took their person to the Shrewsbury Hospital.
But we now have 3 units. So we've increased because we didn't have the hospital there. So we got a chase truck, we have 2 ambulances, and we've got Glen Rock. So now we've got 2 ambulances sitting in the bay, and they're not making money.
But do they need
But
to?
they're not taking people, they're not taking sick people where they need to go either. I mean, people can go in a car.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Kim, but I mean, obviously, having the hospital here means they're saving more lives, and you're probably right, we
Well, the
probably are.
problem is, from what we're hearing, and we were discussing it earlier, we've got people that are waiting 8 hours at this new hospital just to be transferred to York.
Well, that might be a visit from REMS to the hospital and saying, you know, do that.
I don't know, it's just something we're gonna have to discuss, and I'm gonna bring it up the next EMS meeting to see what their feeling is about it. But anyways, say thank you if you see them.
And it's next week.
It's
EMS
next week?
is next
Next week.
Oh, I had, for some reason, I had it on my calendar as this week. Okay, good, next week and this week.
Actually, whenever you see somebody.
Yes, please, thank them for everything they do.
Erica?
So, the accounting, you'll see, we still don't have January to March. It is a huge mess that was left. Rachel, the new accounting firm that she is with, is doing an outstanding job. Gail has been working with her. The audit's upcoming, so there are many errors. It's like unraveling a ball of yarn. From things like payroll, pension, double payments, nothing filed, money not moved back from accounts that was moved. It is a true mess. So they're focused on getting that straightened out, and the commission pressed that we have to have some financials at our next meeting, which I believe will happen. And to quote them, this is really bad,
Was,
fixing it.
was there money missing, or they're still trying to unravel that portion?
There's been no money identified missing. Things were not done properly. It's not good. Our new officer, Slanker, is on his own, and on April 10th, Officer Swartz and Slanker were working the overnight hours. They got contacted by PSP. There was a chase going down 83 at 100 miles an hour, and they were able to get out there, deploy stop sticks, and bring that to a resolution safely. And Officer Swartz commented that Officer Slanker, under the high intensity of the situation going on, was absolutely exceptional, so that's very good to hear from an officer. We authorized Officer Schaefer's drop program pension, as well as Sergeant Smunk will now enter the 3-year drop program as of June 18th of 26.
That's the retirement portion?
Yeah.
Can, maybe after this, can you explain the drop program in a little bit more detail?
Goes where their money goes on their pension, goes in another,
The drop program allows them to continue to collect their salary while they're collecting their pension. So it allows them to get a leg up into retirement so that they can sock some money away in the last, drop program's usually 2 to 3 years.
Isn't
So
that, isn't that self-funded? If you went in the drop program, you fund that
It is.
yourself. It's not funded by the commission or, correct?
Well, we lose state aid money for the officers in the drop program. So I think state aid's 66% or something. Say again?
The state aid is per unit.
Well, an officer is a unit. yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so if you'd like to know what it is, it's called the Deferred Retirement Option Program. And what it does is during the last, it's contractual under the collective bargaining agreement. And during the last whatever period they've agreed upon, the officer collects their retirement benefits while they're still working. Those retirement benefits are put into the drop plan. They're not paid to the officer directly at that time. When the officer retires, he then has this accumulated benefit that he has put into this plan, tens of thousands of dollars. And so a lot of them use it to pay off a mortgage or debt or things like that. But what it does is it sets their benefit at the time that they go into drop, and then rather than continuing to increase the benefit over time. And it provides the officer with this money that they can then use as a lump sum.
So they're
It's like Baltimore County and
So they're
police and
pulling
fire.
retirement money early.
Yes,
Okay. And that happens, how early can they do that?
it's contractual, so
Contractual.
it's anywhere from 1 to 5 years.
Most people do 2 or 3.
Contractual with who?
The collective bargaining agreement,
Okay, so that's done through the police union?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But we lose reimbursement money while the officers are in that, correct?
Correct.
So for the next however many years.
And we have.
But aren't they're also, wait a minute,
It's 4 or 5.
they're still paying, you're still paying in to their retirement. This is in addition to, like Baltimore County and,
No.
because that's all in addition to when you look at the county's programs. I'm just not that familiar with how this one is set up.
Right.
It's not in addition to, that you lose the state aid portion of their.
Correct.
It also impacts the actuarial reports
Yeah.
moving forward, because the actuarial reports are provided that that officer or employee is going to work to retirement date at X number of percentage that's rolled back into the plan on top of the allocation from the state. If you start taking that money early, it alters that actuarial plan.
How is this gonna affect us long-term? Because at least in the last 6 years, I don't think anybody has entered into this program. I don't know.
They didn't have it.
So this is new with the last round of.
No,
the-
no, it was,
2019 or 2018?
yeah, it was done prior to, yeah, it was, yeah, probably 2018, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody was in it back then, were they?
Well, no one necessarily retired between then and now, but yes, and more people, you're gonna see it more and more as more people
Yeah.
retire.
Yeah, because once they get to that age, and they can start pulling whatever years beforehand. So back to my question, how is this going to affect us long-term? Are we having to put more in because we're not getting that state fund?
It's more complex than that.
Yeah.
You really need
I
an
have-
actuary to do that calculation to tell you how you're impacted, and they do that when they negotiate this for the collective bargaining agreement, so that it is part of the negotiation that they do. But the reason that it's complicated is because, yes, while we may use state aid, also while that officer is continuing to work, they're not accruing any additional pension benefit. Okay? So in other words, they may have gotten a benefit Y after 5 years, but instead they started taking their benefit earlier, 5 years earlier, so they didn't accrue any benefit during those 5 years. But what if they couldn't accrue any additional benefit because they maxed out? So there are all these calculations, and you have to know, so the actuarial study is done for the specific police department with the actual officers who would be drop eligible. And that's how that actuarial study is done, and it's that complicated.
And that's.
So I can't answer your question because it's that complicated.
Yeah.
Understood, but then is that going to then cost us more?
I don't know that because it's that complicated.
Okay.
Because you may save enough money because you didn't get the extra years
Okay.
of accrued benefit, which over his, say, 40 years of lifespan, since they retire at 55, 30 years of lifespan, may save you money over time, or maybe not. It's an actuarial calculation.
So very long term.
Yeah.
But that just
Okay,
impacts the pension, it doesn't impact SRPD's budget.
Right, it could, based on
That's-
if the state aid is not enough to meet the MML.
Right.
Right, well, that's what,
Or
yeah,
if
that's
the
actually
pension is
my point.
underfunded,
Right.
and they have to catch up.
Things like that.
So there are all these different calculations, so, it's very difficult to answer a question like that. But it's a question I get asked at every meeting that this is discussed. And I give the same unsatisfactory answer every time.
No, I understand, I wasn't understanding the length of that. I thought it was only for that period of time until they actually retired. I didn't understand that it was after.
Yeah, they lock in their benefit when they start to take it.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit that they get then for the rest of their retirement. It's a little bit like the question of Social Security. If you take it at 62 or do you take it at 70? Well, which way will you make more money? Well, that's a calculation you do based in part on longevity. And also then based in part on how much the difference would be between age 62 and age 70. So, there are all of those different factors that you factor in, and the same thing is true at a higher level with these drop plans.
So the drop plan is not a bulk payment at retirement date?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's what he's
It
saying.
is. What
You were
happens is
saying
that,
about 65
Well-
versus 72.
well, what I was
When
saying was
If they
that
retire
there
when
is
they're
a,
55, that's it. They
well,
get
what I'm
it.
saying is
It's
it's a
in the
little bit
drop.
like if you take your Social Security at 62, but you continue to work. And so you just pack the money away, and then you have it when you retire, so you have that bulk amount that you can draw on.
That's a good analogy, that's
Yeah.
Okay? Or you can wait, get a higher payment at 67 or age 70 or whatever. Okay, and well, which way do you make out better? Well, part of it will depend on how long you live. If you die at age 67, that's not a good thing if you've deferred your Social Security benefits. But if you live until 90, maybe it is better that you defer.
But the drop, it doesn't matter.
The drop does matter.
You're getting a lump sum.
The drop, well, you're getting a lump sum and a continuing monthly payment.
Oh,
Because
see,
that,
I'm used to a drop, when they say drop, if you're in for $400,000, the day you retire, you get a check for $400,000.
No, that's not
and
how
that's
drop
it,
works.
You're out.
drop is a
Bone
deferred
Marrow
retirement option
works
plan.
that way.
So, you got the deferred retirement option plans that are authorized by federal law, are the ones that say that you take your retirement benefit, you continue to work, but the benefit that you get is set at the time that you take the benefit. And the benefit is paid during the period of time that you work, but you must retire on the date that you say you're going to retire. And then you get a lump sum of those retirement payments over that period of time.
Okay, well,
And then after that, you continue to get your retirement payments at the reduced amount because you took it early, just like Social Security.
Super confusing, but I understand way more now. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
May I ask a question that's still financial related but not about the drop? For us, is that appropriate?
But we're
We're
going
still
through the.
Southern Regional, right?
Sorry?
Yeah,
We're still in Southern
Southern
Regional, right?
Yeah.
So should we have concerns as a member municipality that the stipulations in our IGA are not being met with the financials. Like, we don't have 2025 figures, and they're having this situation with the money.
Okay, and what are we talking about?
Like, because we're part of the agreement with them, right? We have an
With the
intergovernmental
Southwest
agreement
Regional?
that says they provide us XYZ, but we
Right.
don't have XYZ.
Right,
So should we be concerned? Like,
Is there a liability?
Right,
Is what you're
yeah.
saying?
because we don't have the financial reports? Is that
yeah,
what
I
you're
guess
thinking?
mainly the year-end one. But, I mean, any of it, because it's all in the agreement that we get.
There's no deadline to get it, so it'll come.
The concern right now that some people have, what Brian brought up, is the fact that we're basically flying blind right now. We don't really know what our financials are, we haven't had anything, and we're hoping we have them by the June meeting. But
Yeah,
flying blind like that is not a good thing, but we haven't,
I don't see
like,
a
gone out
liability.
and spent a lot of money either, so I mean, I still
don't-
think we're within our budget.
I don't see a liability issue so much as an accountability issue. Where, you want to make sure that the money, you're still paying your monthly charge to the police department. And so you want to make sure, where that money is going and that it's being spent in accordance with the budget that you folks have approved and adopted. And, that's not what you're getting right now. So it's more an accountability issue. I don't think it would, potentially it could lead to liability if, turns out that they've not paid their, I'll make something up, they didn't pay the overtime, or they didn't pay the health insurance, and now the premiums, there's a big, a quarter premiums that are due that haven't been paid or something. I guess you could get, like, assessed for something like that, but I don't see, that's not where my concern would be.
How far back is this going,
What?
that the problems have occurred? Or is that what they're trying to find out now? I
December.
mean, when I was
As
there, I
long as
mean,
you
we
don't
were
get-
always right on the dollar mark, and I thought we were.
I would say as long as the first accountant was there.
After,
Really?
yeah.
The replacement accountant,
Samantha,
Samantha, right?
Oh, okay.
How long
first
is-
accountant was
How long was she in place?
there.
Approximately.
September to February.
And is there an additional cost currently or in the future to help clean this up?
More than likely.
Almost guaranteed.
And are they gonna go back and figure out how she messed it up and if it was negligent, or how do you ensure that this doesn't happen moving forward?
Because Gail is working directly with Rachel. Rachel's very competent, and
But wasn't Sam?
no, Samantha and Gail never really got together. There's conflict.
So what's to say that this doesn't happen again if one of them moves on, retires, whatever? How does the police department prevent that?
We've hired a CPA,
Okay.
so now.
And that's gonna be the additional cost.
And even Samantha was bonded and insured, so
Yeah.
there's
That's
not,
what I was
I don't
gonna
think,
ask,
I don't
is
think
this-
there's really a liability. That was one of my concerns too, but, I think that, being bonded and insured, being CPA, and now we have a firm and not just one person. And Samantha was basically one person.
Gail says that Rachel's more than competent, the firm is, and it's just gonna take time to get everything straightened out.
Yeah, I have no doubt it's gonna
Because
take time.
we're not the only client of this firm. They're a tax company, taxes just ended a couple weeks ago, so,
Yeah, I don't
hopefully
have a
they
problem
can
with
pick it
taking
up a
time.
bit more to get through this mess.
I'm sorry, do you want to finish?
The new-
Oh, sorry.
I just have a question. We've talked a lot about $100 for a grant application, but yet we have a company that we're employing for us that can't tell us about any of their finances for the past 6 months, and then even going into last year, and we seem to be okay with that.
Oh, we're
That's
not
fine.
okay.
But, so I hear that, but it's just been brushed off of, we hope to have it next time. We hope to have it the next meeting. We hope to have it the next meeting, right? We've heard that over and over again. We don't know the cost of any of this, and we hope. So, just interesting how, poignant we are on saving money, and we're interested in how often an ambulance is running, but yet we don't know what our business that we're working with is costing us here in some of these spaces, so.
They're getting billed monthly, so I guess they know what the cost is of them.
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about, you don't know what the cost is that they're charging, or?
Well, you just said that we have a CPA that we're working with, and we don't know what this is gonna back cost us to fix the mistakes that a paid CPA was doing before.
She
We
was
know
not a
what the
CPA.
fees are.
She was not a CPA.
Okay.
Yeah, we know what the fees are, we don't know how many hours it's gonna take, is what I'm saying. We know what the charged rate is, but
That's what he's saying though, Eric. He's saying we have no idea if this is gonna take 1,000 hours, 500 hours, it's point well taken. I mean, you're not incorrect.
The lady that was doing it, her name was Samantha.
Samantha?
So, who on our side, of the police side, was accountable for her actions? Like, did she ever go monthly to somebody and say, here's this month's accounting? Or did she just run unchecked?
But that's why she was fired. I mean, she was supposed to.
Respectfully, she wasn't fired, she finished her contract. It was brought up to get rid of her by Erica,
Right.
and it was poo-pooed, and then I had questions about recourse, and that was also poo-pooed, and they allowed her to finish her contract,
You're,
On the end of the year.
So who allowed her,
the commission.
while knowing this was going
The
on?
police commission.
Well, I don't think they fully knew it was going on. They thought things were being corrected, things were being caught. I was the one blowing the horn, but the commission didn't.
It was one of the few things we agree on. But that aside, yes, you're right. I do apologize for that. She was allowed to finish her contract, but the hope was that she was going to get it into some kind of shape to pass on to the new accountant.
So with her, we have no recourse. That's
She talked a good talk. She kept talking that it was right, but things weren't kind of right.
And she was reporting to who about it being right? Nobody at that point, and that's why you blew the whistle.
Yeah, that's basically.
No, because payroll wasn't being paid, because money wasn't there, the account went to zero and she didn't know. It was
Transferred
very
$120,000
aloof.
out of reserves to cover.
So somewhere in leadership, somewhere, there was a catastrophic failure, and going back to Ryan's circle of how do we protect ourselves.
It was very aloof, saying that this is peanuts, she's at multi-million-dollar places, and not taking the time to get with Gail,
Yeah.
and thinking that, I can do this is like, well, no, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
A lot more complicated, yeah.
So there's no person where the buck stopped, other
It's
than
a board of people.
the board.
So the question is, who did she report to?
Do that, exactly.
The chief. Okay.
But again,
Did she
It's-
do
it's-
a monthly report at the meetings, like
she,
Gail always did?
she came to
Some.
one meeting, I believe.
She was requested and never showed up.
A couple times.
She, basically, she had, I think probably what keyed everybody into the fact that things weren't quite right was there were double payments in the QuickBooks reports. She would pay, something was being paid by ACH, and then she would write a check for it as well, so there were two payments. Now, that money's recoverable, but it still makes a mess of things.
Basic accounting errors.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's-
there's, like, she was bonded and these things, there's no accountability we can put onto her. Like, she doesn't have a registry like a doctor would make a mistake. They have to answer to the,
Well, we actually discussed whether or not we could take any kind of an action, and The problem is, you're gonna spend money for forensic accounting, you're gonna spend money for lawyers, you're gonna, you know,
Yeah.
and then you're still not gonna be able to really prove 100% beyond any reasonable shadow.
That it was negligent.
Although I'm happy to take it on.
Yeah. You're always fishing.
Yeah, car, do you?
Just saying.
Just,
So I'm with Ryan somewhere, somehow. Maybe on the commission, and I'm not picking on anybody, but somebody
Let's-
needs to be held accountable.
Let's let, you wanna finish, or?
The new car's in service, and they're going to be putting up 2 vehicles on municipal bid. A couple months back with the fire in Glen Rock where the dogs perished, there was enough pressure put on this SPCA that they have now hired a new humane officer, Patrick Knoll. He'll be in charge of abuse and neglect, and the code of conduct was approved.
was there, the 2 vehicles that were back there, were they also sold on municipal bid? They were sitting in the back lot here along the property line.
There's 2 vehicles that are going to be, I don't know which vehicles those are.
All right.
Could I just say something about the accountability question that Mike was talking about? And that is, I see 2 possibilities for you. One is to work with the auditor for the police department to see if there's a systemic issue that should be corrected. That's what they do. They will give a report, and usually they have a finding or something that says that, you know, there's something that's improper with the way that, you know, the accounts are being handled or being overseen or something like that.
You're saying there's like action items, you're shaking your head no. I don't,
Who's shaking your?
Andrew,
Oh.
I feel like we're getting 2 different.
Can't work with the auditor.
All right,
So I have seen where auditors will identify, or can be asked to identify systemic issues like that. That's what they do. So, for example, they may say, well, there should be a monthly report, you know, things like that. And if there's not a monthly report, that's a red flag, and you do something immediately.
But we're supposed to have a monthly report. The problem is they dropped off whenever Samantha.
Right, and
Well, we
so-
were getting them, and they had errors
Right,
Yeah.
that we
and
were
the
not
ones we had
identifying.
were obviously in.
And she said she was fixing them.
Yeah, and then the other thing is to look at the oversight for that position. Who is it that oversees that work? Are they able to do that? You know, do they have the training they need? Do they have the information they need so that they can effectively manage that employee? So those would be the 2 areas that I would look at. I would look at, if I were the solicitor for the Southwestern Regional Police, I would be looking at those 2 issues. I'd be saying, can the auditor identify some systemic issues that came up here that identify weaknesses? You know, the old thing of, you know, you want to have somebody approve the payment and someone else sign the check,
Yeah.
type thing. Okay, that's a systemic issue. So are there issues like that? And then the other thing is oversight. Does the person in charge of whoever it is does the bookkeeping have enough knowledge and information about how that's supposed to be done that they can flag it and say, this person's not doing the job, let's get someone in here right away, you know, that type of thing to prevent it from being dragged out like it is. Those would be the 2 things.
can we get an answer to those last 2 questions about how payments were done and if they were verified?
Well,
Who she's
yeah,
reporting to is-
the payments are made, and normally, I mean, it's kind of like our treasurer's report. We
Yeah.
review, the
Yes.
SRPD reviews that. The problem is those reports
If you
quit
want-
coming, and the ones that did come were in error.
And they
And
stopped
that's what
coming.
kind of identified the fact that there was a major
And they
problem.
stopped coming in what month?
I want to say
Approximately.
December. I think December was the first report that had all kind of double entries on it. And then she just quit producing the reports, because I'm sure she was getting, you know, garbage in, garbage out. She was getting reports that had major errors in them, and so they just quit coming. And again, to Michael's point, at what point do you cut her off and say, so, we were hoping that, this is one of those situations where no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, you don't expect complete and utter chaos to descend on the police department. And this is really close to financial chaos because none of us have any reports that make any sense. And we're trying to overcome that. And hopefully in June we will. And that's kind of, I have a feeling that if nothing happens by June, we're all going to have to sit down and say, okay, we need to get somebody in here who can get this done within 30 days.
Did the firm have a estimated timeframe?
Well, we authorized them to spend whatever it takes, ignore the contract, spend, at the same rate, but spend whatever hours is required to get things in shape so that it can be presented. At this point, I would say it would be even okay to draw a line in the sand and say, let's not worry about, and let's start in June and get a good June report and go. But unfortunately, everything kind of follows with that.
Yeah.
Can't just like cut off this piece that's bad. And,
So that's the reason that we haven't been getting those reports here on a
exactly.
monthly
Right,
basis.
exactly.
Because I had asked for it and I didn't realize this
The
was.
company that they hired gave them a contract for so many hours to
Yeah.
do the maintenance, and now they're working on the cleanup.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do the cleanup and the maintenance at the same time, and they didn't realize it was going to be as big of a mess as it is.
I guess, can we have updates until it's resolved?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, the new accountant made the statement, I didn't realize it was this bad. So when an accountant says that that's,
And I'd also like, I don't know if it's gonna be possible, because like you said, you could go after them, but is the juice worth the squeeze? To find out if there is money that was potentially missing.
Well, that'll be evident with the audit, I would hope, and we know how much money went in.
So this is pretty much a forensic audit that they're doing.
No, this is just our normal audit in June.
I would think
For
once she was out
2025.
of there, they would want to do an actual forensic audit anytime something like that changes.
Well, forensic audit, I do have experience with financial fraud, prosecuting a case right now, in fact. And forensic audit is, you're looking at, for a police department of this magnitude, probably about a $50,000 expense. Where they go through and look at everything and you have to get the backup and so forth. So it's very detailed and it's very expensive. I don't have any information, but what I'm hearing today is that I'm not hearing dishonesty, I'm just hearing lack of competence. And so, I don't know that we want to cross the line into an investigation into dishonesty until we've kind of nailed down the competence side of things and see if everything lines up once we have that. And I think if you do it in a two-step process, if you discover that second step isn't necessary right out of the box, then you'll probably have a substantial savings in terms of the cost of getting the books in order, but also you'll have a time savings because the forensic audit would take a long time. It would require, someone to be devoted full-time to that work for probably a month.
I think that too, that once the new accountant gets things into shape, it'll become evident whether or not a forensic audit is
Right.
required.
Exactly.
So I think, take it a step at a time.
And to your question, after this, when she was gone, I did ask for not, if this happens again, for just two accountants to sit next to each other and say, teach her that we have a list of guidelines that are followed. This is what you will do, this is how many times you will meet, not leave it to two people.
I'm happy that both of you seem like you're on the same page and not happy with it before other member municipalities were okay with her sticking around and mucking it up even further.
I realized that
Disappointing.
we were kind of spoiled with Gail. She was at every meeting and helped with the budget.
She's
And
phenomenal.
she was phenomenal, I think.
Very grateful she's helping now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we need to do is make sure that this accountant, I realize that there's an illness and whatnot, but they need to be at every meeting so they get a feel for how things go. Even if they don't stay for the whole meeting, at least get through the report. So, anyway. So I went ahead, the motions that I told everybody about at the last, our last council meeting, we talked about, at our police commission, we talked about that we had to come up with methods to keep the budget in check. I sent an email out telling them that we had voted last meeting. I forgot to bring it up at the meeting, but I did send that out today. Also, Andrew Schaefer and Brian Schweitzer have both volunteered to be our grant writers for the SRPD to help us get grant money in. So the motions that were made, which again, keeping in mind what we've gone through with the accountant, we made a motion, or passed a motion to require a line item budget review prior to the police commission voting and approving the SRPD yearly budget. So we'll have in September, October timeframe, a line item review. And we also passed a motion to require SRPD to provide a line item budget to the municipal IGA partners prior to their vote to approve the SRPD budget. That was changed to an executive summary with the budget available. So it's the same thing, basically. So you're also going to get an executive summary so that you can get an overview of the budget to help you vote. And you also, the line item budget will be available. The third motion was not made, and that was to allow the public to participate in the SRPD budget meetings, to allow all SRPD commission representatives, council members, and the public to attend. And the reason that motion was not made was because they decided that the October meeting would be an open meeting and everybody can attend, council members, public, and everybody. So there was no motion required for that. And this hopefully will lend a great deal of transparency to everything. And not that it hasn't been transparent today, but it'll at least give us, I mean, we voted as a council without having a line item budget on the police department. And that's my fault. I don't think that should have been done. So this will cure that. So it'll give us a little bit more insight. All right, there's probably another agenda item here. There's an engineering report. Does anyone have any questions on the engineering report, water system, wastewater? Zoning and code enforcement, Walt already reported on the outstanding court case.
Did you have the meeting with your father?
We did, and actually, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I made
I
minutes
didn't
for
mean-
everyone too.
yeah.
I didn't know if I was doing that during committee or.
Yeah, but we might as well do it during the water system, that's good.
We met today with 4 representatives from York Water. It was glaringly obvious that it's probably going to be in our best interest to auto-renew the contract we have. The new minimums and new maximums are a lot tighter than what we have. So it's likely if we were to do a new contract with them, we would have to buy more than we're buying. and our maximum would be less than what it currently is. So currently we're buying 900,000 gallons a month, and with a maximum usage of 6 million. So those differences are not, they're a lot tighter in today's market when they're making new contracts than what we have. They were pretty open about their goal is to kind of monopolize everything, so the negotiations are less favorable when you do a new contract than they were 20 years ago with our contract. The terms are more strict. You would have to give 5-year notice if you want to renegotiate. Some notes on our current contract, if we let it auto-renew. For those that don't know, we take the 900,000 gallons every month to help back the stress off of all of our wells. But something I learned today, if we have some significant catastrophic failure, the 6 million that we can get from York Water would cover us in its entirety. If we renegotiate, we wouldn't probably have that 6 million. So that is something to significantly consider. With the water that we currently get from York Water, we can not worry about when one of our wells is down for repairs, maintenance, etc. Oh, they did make a note, there are a few municipalities that have non-emergency connections. They don't have any connections, so if they have an emergency, they're kind of at the mercy. At cost, there's DEP regulations with the water testing that comes into play. If you're getting water and it's not, it's like on an emergency basis, it's not a continuous flow like we have every day from York Water. They referenced if we have a contract ongoing and you have an emergency like they had in Stewartstown with the big construction fire and you need to go over your monthly allotment, they're a lot more flexible if you have a formal agreement than if you do not. And I have copies for everyone to pass around.
So why would anybody not keep the old one going? I mean, everybody's in the same boat, right? They all have to redo it each 5 years or whatever it is.
It's a 20-year.
It was an initial 20-year with a 10-year auto renewal. So the initial period was 1998 to 2018. We're in the first renewal period, which is 2018 to 2028.
So we got another 10 years after that too then.
If you let it auto renew, yes.
Well, I think from what Jenny said, it would make no sense to not get it.
Correct. Without giving firm figures, our minimum of 900,000 a month is probably not going to be available. If we made a new contract, we would have to buy more water than that, likely.
Their standard is a third. So if you want to have a 6 million max to cover all the people in town, you would have to have a minimum purchase of 2 million gallons. So it's a third of whatever your maximum is.
So I just don't understand why anybody would renew. I mean, they would do a new contract. I would assume, to me, it would make more sense for everybody just to do the
Well,
automatic.
I mean, we initially went to them because we were hoping that we could get the amount of
The
down.
900,000 down.
So, I mean, we're right now we're paying 12,000 a month, something like that. A little 11,000 a month for water from York Water Company. But that would be more than double if we rewrote the contract. We were gonna ask, I mean, the question was on the tip of my tongue, you know, can we just take 15,000 a day? But no, that's not the direction they're headed in. They want us to take more. And in fairness, just so you know, whenever they tell us we have 6 million gallons, they have to like earmark that water for New Freedom. I mean, they can't sell that water. They have to have it in reserve, so if we call them up and say, all of our wells just came back contaminated, or the tank went down, or whatever, and we have to open that valve and take 6 million, they have to have it to give to us. So what they want to try to do is to have what we're buying all the time be close to 6 million. So they've decided a third is fair, which I think is fair too. We're buying a third of what our maximum can be, and the rest of it they're keeping in reserve every month for us.
Is
So-
there an additional, is there gonna be a change in
What-
cost?
It's whatever the
We
PUC
don't-
charges, it's not, I mean, York Water, yeah, it's always been a change, it's just changed over the years. It's whatever the PUC current rate is.
Okay.
Well, nobody can control that.
It's what York Water requests from the PUC and the PUC approves.
Yeah.
And we absolutely need, it's a necessity that we be able to hook up to York Water.
Well, I mean,
Because one of our
as Jenny,
discussions
as
was,
Jenny,
can we
as
just
Jenny
get rid of
said,
it?
right, as Jenny said, I mean, we're gonna do maintenance on one of the wells. Jake was saying that, we have to do maintenance. If one well went down while we were doing maintenance, we would have to increase our buy from North Water. We have to do maintenance on the Kohler Point tank, this year. This year, Jake, for Kohler Point maintenance?
No, it's probably next year.
Next year. Okay, so next year when we do maintenance on Kohler Point, we're gonna have to open the valve and take more water. It might only be for a week, but we have no other choice, you know, that's our backup supply.
You essentially either have it or you don't.
Right,
There's like, and if we try to negotiate a brand new contract to get less than 900,000, their minimum threshold is already above 900,000, so it
Right.
wouldn't make sense
So we would
to
just-
try and
Cost
do
us
that.
more to get
Right.
less.
Right,
And-
correct,
yes.
correct.
And the other gotcha is, Dee, if you close that valve and you don't open it every day to take on some amount of water, you have to do further testing. So if you wanted to only open it when you need it, they would come in and they would want to do more testing on the,
Do we open that valve every day, or do we
No,
just
it's all-
make
I
sure
think
that
it's an
we?
automatic thing.
It's all-
Jake, you have to help me on that.
It's automatic, it comes in at 12 noon and takes in 30,000. It varies just on how full the water tank is on when it shuts off. But we have it set to.
And then we shut it off once we get our monthly,
No.
Yeah, it's
Our daily.
30,000 a day.
well,
Once
So-
we are daily.
Yeah, one month, February you're short. August you're 31 days.
yeah,
so you're
we
over
regulate it
900,000,
so that
it's-
we're
It's
within.
30,000
parameters.
average
I have a
a
question.
day.
Does anyone have any questions?
The audience does.
With hindsight being 2020, and what I'm hearing is if we had just left this alone, it would have automatically renewed.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it's
pretty
still
much it. Yeah, and then,
I got the impression that it will still.
Yeah, I
I
don't-
don't think they
yeah, they
were.
don't, they were very nice. I mean, they basically said, yeah, we want to be a monopoly, yes, we want to grow, but, which any business does, but they also were very, very understanding, and I think if we just since we have a contract that has an auto renewal clause, I think they'll just let it renew if we let it just,
But if they don't, our price will be double.
well, not our price will be double, but yes, what we pay them for the water that we get from them will go up by about two, a little bit over two. But
If you-
it won't increase our prices in town.
No, I meant what we pay them.
If you put something in writing though that says that you weren't auto-renewing, I would send
Rescind it.
something else that says that you are going to auto-renew.
Correct.
If that's the desire.
Yeah,
When do we have to officially decide not to freeze?
November.
November, all right.
It was noted by the COO who was here that our contract was very lenient, or his exact words,
Is what?
lenient.
Oh, yeah, he did say that.
We're getting a good deal.
Yeah.
Sounds like a salesman.
I mean, they were very honest.
Yeah. Oh,
I thought
yeah.
the meeting went well.
Oh, yeah,
And they
it was
answered all of
very
our
nice,
questions and.
I think what we pay compared to some other municipalities, you look at Stewartstown,
We've been low.
there's, oh geez, their water bill is probably 3 or 4 times a month what ours is.
So they're taking in a lot more from
Oh, I know,
water.
I know.
I mean-
They're paying a lot more.
I mean, I've always said, you know, Jake and his crew with the water, I mean, they basically cover,
They pay for themselves.
they pay for themselves just on the water. So, I mean, they're saving New Freedom taxpayers a lot of money.
Yeah.
If it goes away, things would, well, the taxes wouldn't go up, but the water bill would.
Should the council take action then to give you direction?
I mean, it is on the agenda, the meeting was held, if that's the,
Yeah,
I have no
I think
problem.
we should I would recommend you authorize them to send a letter rescinding the,
I would make a motion that we
Wait a minute, rescinding what?
send a letter to auto-renew our contract
I'll second it.
and not try to negotiate a brand new one.
And I think you should include in that motion that it is our intent to auto renew.
I will include it as our intent to auto-renew.
And you second?
Dave,
Dave second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Okay. Zoning and code enforcement?
wastewater.
We already did wastewater. Just breezed on through. Recreation?
All right, largely covered most of this, last month. Again, the wellness fair, brought in $620 from the other month. Touch a Truck, which again, Jake and the borough staff, Shrewsbury Township, and a lot of other vendors, around town, thank you. Brought in $110 in donations. Speaker series, the next one is May 16th, what is today's date? 11th, thank you. So that's coming up. I'm sorry, that's the community yard sale, excuse me. Coming up this weekend.
Ryan, can I help you out?
What's up?
Can I help you out?
How about it?
So community yard sale, we have over 50 people signed up for a yard sale, so it's a good split. We got like 25 down here at the park, and then around the borough, we have, I guess, the other 25 houses. And they're on the GIS map that Andrew and staff helped out with. So we'll have like maps so everyone can kind of go around and easily get spot to spot. So lots of excitement around there. The speaker series, it will be the last Wednesday of the month, and it's going to be on the history of 4th of July celebrations. So rousing good time for the 250. Spring Battle Academy is underway, so we're up in Smith Woods. It only rains on Wednesdays now. So if we need to stop a drought, we'll just plan their Battle Academy at that point. But again, thanks to like Jake and team, they like roped off the area for us to help corral the children. And we have some hay bales. So it's been a pretty good success. Preschool in the park is underway. Summer camp is filling up now, so the first 2 weeks are almost at capacity, and then we have a third week in August that's just trickling in. I think we have like 10 kids signed up for that one, so we're encouraging folks, if they want to come to summer camp, go for it. It's interesting because we've gotten mixed feedback. Some people are like, hey, it's too cheap. What's going on with it? And our goal isn't to have barriers. Our goal is to provide a good summer camp-based playground camp that doesn't have, huge trips involved in going to Lancaster and stuff like that. So educating folks on like what we're trying to do and why we're doing it at the price point is fun. Pickleball is underway. We had the master class is ready for folks to sign up now, so that's posted. and then they had the 101 class fill up that's currently running. And then the tennis clinic is the big one. So this is open for all ages. It'll be at the park. And then it involves a local high schooler that'll be running these classes right down here at the tennis courts. And then the other big thing that's really coming up as we head into, later this month is the farmers market. So we all probably remember the farmers market up here behind the community center in Smith Woods. It's moving down to the green, just for better visibility, better foot traffic, working with the NCR to help, push people from the train there also. But there's over 50 vendors that have been approved to kind of set up there. We're capped at 16 right now in each of the weeks, and we'll look and evaluate if we want to add more. But the first week we are already sold out for the market. So we'll have 16 vendors there. That's already sold out. So swing by. It'll be a happening place. It'll be basically every other Saturday running through the fall that we'll have vendors there.
Andy, can I make a suggestion? Because somebody today said to me, I can't wait to go to the farmer's market in the community center. And I said, it's not at the community center, it's at Freedom Green.
Yeah.
And they said, well, it says farmer's market right there.
Yep.
So possibly maybe a sign or something that says now where it is if somebody goes there.
Yeah, I think Rachel's got like some big, they call them sale signs. I don't know, there's I don't know how to describe it. It's a big sign stake in the ground.
Yeah.
So the goal is to move those down to the green so people know that like the Friday before, so that as they're driving through on the way home for work or whatever, that they get to see that.
But maybe just something up at Smith Woods,
Yep.
because it is on that structure there that says farmer's market, not there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's always been there in the past because it kind of coordinated with the Fireman's Pit Barbecue.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're all good. I think any feedback is great. We get a lot of feedback from the community that they don't know we have rec programs, or we don't know that we do these things, and trying to get feedback to people is difficult, or advertise. So you have like the normal channels of like Facebook, posters.
Right.
We're in the New Freedom community flyer. We're in the Shrewsbury Township flyer now. But
Savvy citizen.
Savvy Citizen. There's just so many methods of people getting data nowadays. It's tough because we're all overloaded. So trying to cater. This summer, there's a lot of talks about the park. There's 4 concerts this year. So graciously donated, we were able to sponsor 4 concerts instead of the 3. So thank you. And then just a list of events in here. So always looking for opportunities for people to volunteer, but then also looking for feedback on the stuff that's happening. So Q3 is already out too, of things that are getting amped up and planned and working to get executed. Sorry, Ryan, I stole the show.
No, you got all the updated information of what I got yesterday with the updated numbers, so thank you.
Next time, remind me to ask you to sit up here so we get it on tape.
I will say, we have a scheduling adjustment for our meeting tomorrow. It's at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. There's a track banquet that's going to affect myself and another member. So we're going to start at 5. We're going to try and get through everything as fast as possible. And if we have to, then we'll table something. But I don't think it's a heavy agenda, so I think we'll be good. But 5 o'clock here in Freedom Borough Council.
Is there anything to be said about the liquid fuels? Just a report.
No, it's just provided for council. There were 2 adjustments that were made that you might have, if you're going through the report, that you might have seen. One was for interest back from 23 that was posted in 24, but it was December's interest, so the auditor just pushed that back, not a big thing. And then the other was an expenditure for the same thing, paid in December, not transferred, so they just put that back in the prior year to show those adjusted amounts. And then as they note on page 12, the municipality complied with the recommendations for adjustments, which don't have a choice, but they still put in there. And yeah, so if you recall, liquid fuels gets audited by the Auditor General in a 2-year period, but every year it gets audited by PennDOT. So on top of the normal audit, financial audit that's completed, there's the annual liquid fuels PennDOT audit, and then the every 2-year Department of Auditor General audit. So there is, we need to make sure everything is I's dotted and T's crossed when it comes to liquid fuels funds.
Yeah, I guess
So
so.
it's 3 separate audits in 2 years. So on the other year that 2 happen, they don't happen together, they're still separate audits.
It's all the same period, yes, yeah.
Okay. Melissa?
Okay, thanks.
And the financial audit, our CPA firm will be here in June to present the borough's financial audit for 2025.
Here at the meeting.
Yes.
Public comment?
Don't forget my committee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to say EMS, the EMS report, I think you're always interested in that. We had a total of 162 calls. We only missed 5 calls for the whole month, which is great, and that I attribute to the chase truck being out there, and when the ambulance is gone, I know the chase truck had to respond to a number of calls. We only missed 5 calls for the whole month, and I think that might be a record for missed calls. The majority of the calls follows as it usually does: Shrewsbury Township, number 1, Shrewsbury Borough, number 2, New Freedom, 3, and Maryland again, number 4.
We still don't get any reimbursement from Maryland, correct?
We get paid.
Paid
We get paid
Paid by the person
that's all-
riding, you get their insurance
Their
or.
insurance pays in full.
Yeah,
So-
but we talked before, that insurance money goes to the individual,
No,
correct? No?
no.
Not Maryland.
Not okay, so that's different, okay.
We're trying to
We
actually
bill
get that
them, we
changed.
bill them direct.
Okay, I
Yeah,
thought both
we
6
bill
was-
them direct, so we probably get a little more out of their
Yeah.
calls than, and especially if they want to go to York, I think we can charge them additional mileage. So, I mean, I don't like to see us out of the area, but, you know, we end up down in Hereford, Middletown Road every now and then.
They charge by mileage for EMS?
Yes,
And you do like,
over.
can you do like New York City taxi drivers, you just.
Yeah.
Surge pricing.
Driving around the block a couple times, take the detour route, come up through Pretty Boy.
Okay.
But they're doing a great job, great people, and the numbers are staying pretty much the same. And the missed calls are decreasing every month.
Great. Anything else? Entertain a motion,
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Third.
This is the next one, I just, in case somebody wanted to walk up and grab it.
It's probably on tape.
It's already done.